Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a great lunch. I enjoyed it. And we're ready to have some this is getting a bit loud. To have an interactive workshop. I'm excited, as you can hear. I'm getting a bit loud. We're talking today about bridging the talent gap, rethinking education and SME collaboration for industrial transformation. So that's a very, very long title. And there's a lot of things in there that are quite challenging that we really need to kind of address nowadays. The transformation of SMEs, where many SMEs struggle to kind of make the right choices, make the right investments, move towards the new opportunities that arise through digitalization, I thought there were questions already, through digitalization or the green transition. And we need to understand better how we can help this perennial problem of the lack of talent, of the large problems that SMEs have in accessing the right kind of source of talent, and moving into the right direction to ensure that we have a competitive economy today and tomorrow. And thankfully, I have to do very little today, and I have an excellent panel that will help me answer the question of what can we do and how can we get there. With me today are Charlotte Norman. She's the Senior Associate Professor at the Department for Management and Engineering at Linköping University. Her area of research is early stage innovation and entrepreneurship, and she's currently working as a business coach at the Linköping Institute.
LIU Innovation.
LIU Innovation, I'm sorry. I'm with the EU Commission right now, so acronyms are our friend. We also have Petra Kutuliakova. I practiced this a few times, I'm sorry. She's the founder of U2 in IT, which is awesome because she gave me socks. So if you want to know how to do things right, you bring me socks. This is really, I get excited. It is a Slovak nonprofit empowering women and girls to thrive in the digital world. Since 2012, our organization has helped more than 65,000 girls and women access education, mentoring, and careers in tech. And last but not least, I have Tom Cooney, who has been around the SME Assembly once or twice. He's the Professor of Entrepreneurship at Technological University Dublin in Ireland, and the Academic Director of the Institute for Minority Entrepreneurship. He's also Director of 4 businesses and works in a supportive capacity with a variety of organizations. So without further ado, let's jump into the session. And let me start with you, Charlotte, and ask you the question we prepared. You're very much active in bridging the talent gap, working with the private sector, including through the Higher Education Innovate initiative. How do SMEs and universities collaborate, and what do we need to do to bridge our talent gap?
Yeah, I have a few slides prepared on that. So here, I want to start here, in the VUCA world. That's where we are right now, in a world that is volatile, and it's uncertain, it's complex, and it's ambiguous. And this is challenging for universities, for people, for society, for everyone. The world is changing so fast right now, and there are so many challenges with the climate, with war around us and everything. So this stable thing where you can plan and prepare, it's not where we are now. So this requires a lot from new talents and from university and from all to learn to navigate in this world. So that's where I want to start. And here I have some bullet points of what I have seen from my research that SMEs need. They need entrepreneurial human capital, and according to a lot of research papers, this is an overseen production factor, the knowledge of how to run entrepreneurial processes. Most SMEs, they are focused on their business, the daily thing, and what they do, but they might not be experts in marketing or in organization or in managing, being managers and so on. So there is a lot there to learn and to strengthen these companies. I have been working for a while with a scale-up program, and where they have added this entrepreneurial human capital in case of 4 external coaches during a 1.5-year process, and they have shown tremendous results. So that's why. And also, I've seen through my career at the Linköping University, and before that also where I was working out in trade and industry, that industry academic partnership and collaboration it's also important. It strengthens absorptive capacity, and it adds new perspectives on all sides. And also this cross-disciplinary works are needed because in the VUCA world, everything is complex, and we have to treat it in another way than previous. And we also need arenas to meet, and that's like this place here is an excellent way of actually meeting. I want to say something also about challenge-based learning, because through my career as a teacher, and I have been teaching entrepreneurship for about 20 years, I have since start actually worked a lot together with firms, and both small firms and bigger firms, but especially with small firms and micro firms in my education, having them bringing in the problems or challenges rather, because now some 10 years ago I learned there was a name for it. It was challenge-based learning. Previously I just took them in and worked. But here, working together and having our students working together, I have courses named Ingenious, and there they work together to solve challenges from like SME firms or like municipalities or whatever organizations. And there they get these entrepreneurial skills. They get insights in the reality outside the education. And they learn about things, and they also get theory and support from the teachers and coaches and so on. So they come out with more experience that they would do if they only read a book and have a written exam afterwards. And also these arenas where we can work together, like we have an Erasmus Plus project now that is named Create, where we are to create creatons in collaboration between academy and the surrounding society. But this put up a new teacher role, because the traditional teacher role is teacher being a teacher, standing in front of the class, sort of transferring the knowledge they have and then make a written exam. That doesn't work if we do challenge-based learning. So for challenge-based learning, we need teamsters. And teamsters it's broader than just being a teacher. So we have of course the teacher, the knowledge-oriented role, but we have also the coach that is more skills-oriented. We do pitch training, for example. We do train them in collaboration, train them in all those 21st century skills that are important to have. And we also have the role of the organizer, organizing the challenges, contacting the firms and so on. And for some teachers, I believe this is rather scary. For others, it's challenges. Many people, we have done questionnaires on this and so on, they think, it takes a lot of time, it requires a lot of things. But when you come in there, of course there is thresholds, but when you come in there, it's also very rewarding, and you also realize that they do a lot of work for you. So it actually saves time. So finally then, my view of the future universities is that universities need to be more entrepreneurial. They need to meet with the requirements from society and from SMEs, and they need also to spread this entrepreneurial knowledge and contribute to it so that we can have this entrepreneurial human capital to benefit from in society. Collaboration is also needed. So university, they need to act more as knowledge brokers and so on, and create these arenas. I think the CBL courses are very good ways of it's an example of an arena, we can say. And also finally, I think mobility between all those organizations surrounding the universities and between firms and university, step backward and forward to learn, because I think we have passed the time where you went to the university, get your education, then went out working. Now I think in this complex society, we need to come back to fill, to relearn, and so on, to come out there and contribute. So I hope that this is what we will see of the future universities. And that's my opening of this. So, Thomas, I hand over to you.
Very good. Thanks, Charlotte. We already have the first glimpse at the future. So, Tom, as technology is rapidly evolving, where do you see the role of universities and the way they can support SMEs in the future?
I think it might have been considered that as a professor of entrepreneurship, I'd be here defending universities. Any university provost that's here is going to be disappointed, because I think we've got to change dramatically as institutions. When universities were designed originally in the Middle Ages, okay, they were designed around stable jobs, linear careers, kind of one-way knowledge transfer, right, from the expert to the student. And if you look at the amphitheater lecture hall, okay, it's an old concept. And the expert at the front of the room, the font of all knowledge is come back to the coaching, right? It's not what we need today. Today's learner is someone who is comfortable in a gig economy, so they're not thinking about job for life. They learn online so much more comfortably. They're flexible in terms of how they see the future. And then on top of that is SMEs are looking for adaptable workforce. They're looking for work-ready talent. Okay, and you could argue that universities aren't providing that. And I would argue that universities must evolve from being transmitters of knowledge to being cultivators of capability. That we should be building capable young people who are lifelong learners. So we see students as a one-off. They come in, do their degree, go home, or move on, right? But we should be looking at this as a lifelong path, and that the skills we're engendering in them are something that they can work across whatever career they go into. I think some of the key issues are that universities are, if you look at the ranking systems, it's primarily driven by funding, how much money you're pulling in, driven by citations and publications, and driven by student-teacher ratios. And even, I see in Ireland, it's driven by the number of firsts that you get, right? How many firsts have you got in your college? There's a real simple solution to that, right? It's called grade inflation, right? If you want more firsts, you just mark easier. And I see one university, congratulating itself for having 25% of its student population getting first-class honours, right? That doesn't mean that they're better students, in my book. How can you go from 5%, okay, to 25%? Don't tell me that the students are that much more intelligent today than they were 10, 15 years ago, right? That's just grade inflation. So it's easy to manipulate those kind of numbers, but we're not manipulating, or we're not addressing the numbers that really matter, which is around what SMEs want, what society wants. I would also argue that academics, okay, such as myself, okay, our reward system is based on publications. It's based on research funding. If I go for promotion, those are the metrics that we're looking at. Okay, so nobody's saying to me, okay, how many SMEs have you been working with? Okay, what have you done for the community recently, right? And one time I went for an interview and I said something like, Entrepreneurship Theory and Practice is the #1 journal in my field. And I got asked a question about publications, and I said, if at the end of my day, somebody's standing at my grave and they say, Tom Cooney, he was a great guy, he had 10 publications in Entrepreneurship Theory and Practice. And I said, if that's my gift to the world, I give up now. Now, it might have been my sentiment, but saying in an interview was probably the wrong occasion to do it, right? And you won't be surprised to know that I didn't get the job, right? But that's my feeling, right? We're publishing for people who don't read them anyway. So the measurements on our career are wrong, right? And then you got students who are different, right? I'm 30 plus years teaching, right? Students have much shorter attention spans, right? Their communication skills are much different, primarily because of the mobile phone and how they interact. And I would argue that they're not as self-confident, right? And you certainly have a lot of issues around mental health and resilience and all of that, right? So your student is quite different. And then you've got the SMEs operating in a rapidly changing environment, right? So all of that isn't coming together very nicely. So I would argue there's a significant shift in paradigm needed in terms of how universities think about education and what we do. I think, first of all, we need to consider young people as lifelong learners rather than as four-year degree students or master's students or whatever they might be. I think that's the first step, right? Secondly, I think we've got to move from knowledge transfer to knowledge co-creation. We have knowledge, we have expertise, but we don't know it all, right? So how about co-creating knowledge with SMEs or with whomever we work with? Also, I would argue that we should move from teaching expertise to teaching life skills and adaptability. We should be looking at a student that's leaving the university, okay, who isn't just knowledgeable, but has all of these capabilities and life skills. And I would finally say that the final shift needed is from a move away from the ivory tower to an engaged, connected institution. So with that, this is not my model, by the way. I won't take credit for it. But if we're talking about an engaged university, what does that mean? I wish it was my model now, with everyone taking a photograph of it. I could get a publication out of that. But so what are we talking about, right? So public engagement with regard to research. It's my belief that a lot of communities, the area I specialize in is in inclusive entrepreneurship. I work with a lot of disadvantaged communities, various types. And they're tired of being poked at, if I can use that expression, right? They're tired of being the subjects of research. And as one group said to me, Tom, what's in it for me? Right? You're coming along, want to research us, what's in it for me? And if we're really committed to engage research, then it's got to be co-created research. We've got to be working not just collaboratively, because it's got to be doing it together, okay, in its truest sense. Actually, just on engaged research, I spent 3 years working on an EU-funded project in Latin America. I wasn't living there, I was just over there and back. But we're working with universities in Latin America, developing their research and innovation strategy to address the economic and social challenges of their region. Because what was happening was that they were developing research and innovation strategies that were, for themselves. Okay, what research are we doing in the labs? Where can we get more publications? It was all inside, looking in rather than looking out. But I would argue a lot of European universities doing exactly the same thing. In terms of engaged teaching, right? Engaged teaching isn't just getting in an entrepreneur, to speak to the students. Okay, that's nice. Okay, but that's not engaged. Actually, I'd just say the speaker at the first session today, Geraldine Magner, who I thought was superb, but I am biased because she's a former entrepreneurship student of mine. I was really, really proud of her. But for example, with that one, I've got rid of the exams completely. And what we do is the students have got to go out and organise charity events. And they break into groups of 3. They self-select their own event, they self-select their own charity, and they go and make it happen. So last Thursday night, I got an email from a group of 3 students who'd done their fundraising event that day and had raised €7,000, right? And again, I would argue, right, if you give them the positive, supportive environment, young people can do incredible things. And while we've been doing that initiative, students have raised in excess of €920,000 for various charities. But in addition to showing them how entrepreneurship can be used for the benefit of others, they're also coming back saying, that was one of the best learning experiences I've had. And come back to Charlotte's point about problem-based learning, that's exactly what it is, right? They're having to figure out. And there's disasters in all of that. But disasters are part of entrepreneurship. It's part of the learning process. And we deal with that as well. And the other one, there's knowledge exchange. One of the challenges that I have here is that academics believe they're the expert and that the people they're working with, okay, should be, feel grateful for the interaction that they're having with them, right? We don't appreciate enough the time, the expertise, and the experience that the other party is bringing to the interaction, right? The other party has something to offer as well, right? And if I go into social responsibility, the last one, the programs we run with the different minority groups, right? So the best one we've got going is the one with persons with disability. But we co-created that with people from the community. The person who delivers it, okay, has a disability, okay? And everything that we do in that program is around, tailored, customized support for the community that's been co-created with it. It's not Tom Cooney saying, I've done some research on you, and here's what I think what you need, right? That's rubbish. But with that social responsibility, the work we're doing in the prisons, the work we're doing with people with disabilities, the work that we're doing with marginalised youth, we're going out into the communities. We're out there, okay, working with the communities. And we're co-creating with them because they've got equal knowledge or equal contribution to make. And then it's of value. Then it's of value not just to the individual, but it's of value to the society. And we've got to change how we do business. I've got some solutions, but I'll come back to those in a moment.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. Universities are changing, and we have to get serious about lifelong learning, engaging in different ways. And one of them is also learning outside of universities. Petra, what are you doing to help girls and women obtain digital skills and to break barriers within IT tech careers for them?
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be today with you. After the university, very strong background, I will jump a little bit to this age. When we are speaking about the talent and the lack of talent for the SMEs, please do not forget that this is the age when we start to take care about talents. If we will miss this age group, and we in IT works with girls from 8 years old, we will miss really a long way until we can have the adult talent. Because at this age, they are not stressed, the girls. They have no biases, no prejudices. They are just open and they would like to learn. If you will pick them in this age, we are the winner. We are all the winners. Because after then you can have the talents like this, the ladies, university students, yes, sure, but also the mature women who are ready to start to learn new skills. Because the problem we now face in all SMEs, that the changes on the job market are so important that we do not have enough time to jump into new skills. So for us in IT, we already focus on not just the motivation, but also on inspiration, role model sharing, and the practical skills. I would like to highlight some points which I think are very important because we could really develop different concepts. And for me, the key idea, if I would like to highlight something, it's not looking the problem in the girls and women. Often if we are speaking about the lack of women on STEM, on IT careers, we focus mostly the program to the girls and to the women because we are looking for the problem that it's you. You are not studying IT. Why you are not studying IT? So we are pushing a lot of girls to IT, asking them and pushing them to new training. But the problem is not the girls and the women. The problem is in the system. The system which doesn't allow them to rise and doesn't create the conditions and opportunities for them to rise. So we really create a lot of activities. Sure, we have the training because we had more than 60,000 girls trained and passing their courses. But on the other side, we focus also on the system change. And the system change, we mean the schools, because you can't imagine how the wrong communication from the side of teachers can affect the development of girls' career. If the teacher do some mistakes in the communication, telling to girls, for example, that, oh, maybe you should follow the different study because I see that it's really the problem for you to understand this question. This is where we are losing a lot of girls, because if somebody will tell me that I'm not good enough, I will never try it because somebody just told me that I'm not good enough. So the changes in the schools, but also in the organizations and companies. What we can see, well, I have mostly the experience in Slovakia and some countries we are working with, but what we can see in companies, that the company is really declaring that, yes, we are supporting women in IT careers, but this year we have bad results. This year we need to change this floor because we have some renewal on the floor. And you know, my son is born and my dog is going to the hospital. So yes, we care about the women in STEM, but please let us do this work. And after this, we will care about women in STEM. But it's just too late. Yeah, we just can't wait until all this stuff is done. I would like to share with you some points we could develop during 13 years, and I think they are worth to follow because we really worked hard on this. The first point is creating the safe space. I'm speaking here about the women. If the women do not have the safe space for learning, they will not do it. We have this experience that when you have the mixed training groups, you have very few of women then attending the training because they are ashamed to ask questions, they do not feel well enough, they do not feel good enough to participate at the training. So if you have just the female groups, and you are creating this space of confidence and safety, you will see that the attendance rate will be really high. We developed a lot the convenient timing for the women because regarding the adult women education, we have the average age 35 plus, and often those women has family, has jobs. So if you will create the training during the daytime, they can't just participate. Even if they would like to, they just can't. Yeah, so we do the training in the evening hours with a lot of recording. They can return back and check it more often. The short training models are very important, but be careful. It doesn't mean one-day trainings. One-day training is very nice. It's just a good cafe you would like to taste, but it's not something you can learn. So we have the 2-month training sessions, which are very powerful because during 2 months you can really go deep into the topic. You are not really professional, I admit, but you can follow up with the next training, and especially what we could see that the university is perfect, but if you are 40, you will not return back to university. You do not have 3-5 years to study with the other people. So you need to find something convenient for you and your family situation. And short-term trainings are perfect. Blended learning, definitely, you need to create some mix of video training, online training, together with one-to-one mentoring activities and possibilities to meet in person with your co-learners and teachers. And this is something very strong pushing you to follow and not to quit. Because you know that the numbers of people who participate at the online training, just the online training, it's very low, the number of those who will finish the training, because it's very hard. And you need to find a time to study. So if something happens, you will just quit. But if you have some support from your community, they will just keep you and help you. Well, and the last point, the finance. Yeah, surprisingly, the money is a key of everything we have here. If the training is very expensive, the woman just can't afford to go for it. So you need to have the low accessible prices or support from the organization, whatever, but they just need to feel even that you are interested in having such training for them. When we work with organizations, we can see also, because for us, the majority of work is happening on the side of women and the girls. We have a lot of insights because we are in daily communication with these target groups. But what we can see also on the side of organizations, sometimes it's funny that a company will just tell us that, yes, we support our women, but they need to learn in their free time. So it's perfect that you are spending 8, 9, 10 hours doing your job, and in the evening you can just start to learn. Yeah, it's very hard. Yeah. And mentoring and sponsoring is something I would really recommend, because if you are learning without seeing the next point you can do and where you can move in your career, it's very hard to imagine. So if you will discuss with those ladies that, okay, jumping into this course will lead you to this knowledge and will finally lead you to this position, this is something really motivating for them. The age is for us critical. I don't know as in your countries, but in Slovakia, once you are 40 plus, 45 plus, it's very hard for you to change the job. And often, even if you are perfect, the companies are afraid that you will be too expensive and you will not fit in the culture of a young generation. So sometimes it's very hard to change the career after 40 plus, 45. But now the job market changed. And I think the majority of population will be very soon in this age category. So we need to adjust on the side of the organizations also some possibilities how to motivate this age group and how to attract them. And thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you. I think that was very inspiring, very interesting. I think we want to stay a little bit with concrete examples. We will take questions from the floor after a first round of questions to the panel, so get ready to ask your questions. We're going to have a microphone. Someone's going to come to you, so please do raise your hand and then you get your microphone. Otherwise, you can also post your questions on Slido. So if you take the screenshot here, you can post the questions and we will take some of those as well, which is also available to participants online. So if you're watching this online, you can post your questions via Slido. You have the QR code here. But before we open for the floor, before we open the floor to the audience, Charlotte, you work with academics, students, and SMEs. Can you give us some of the best examples of how you helped SMEs navigate the digital and navigate industrial transformations?
Yeah, I think this course that I have, the Ingenious course that I mentioned there, it's a good way of doing it, and we have one version that is electable on site, and interestingly, there are sometimes people in my age also taking this course along with the students, and they engage also very hard with the companies there. The companies put up challenges. So right now I have this course running, and it's about 35, 40 students and 6-7 challenges. So they meet up in the classroom like 3 times during the semester where the course runs. And they co-create together. They do shitty prototyping together, building and visualizing the ideas. They pitch and get comments from the SMEs and so on. I also have an online version of this, and passing to you there. Why should they come back and study 2-3 years? It's enough if people come back, study 1 course, and maybe they can take the course online and come for a mobility week. Last year I had a person in my age along with the students. He was there taking the course online, engaging in the group. He had a lot of experience, and he was here also during the BIP, and there we worked with a big industrial company. This spring we will work instead with micro firms that are into out the countryside, into alternative forestry, because forestry in Sweden, it's big companies, so and it's logs and it's pulp and paper, but the forests are so much more. There are tourism, there are food, there are a lot of things, experiences, you can go there and so on. And now we will have them work together with these very small scale, not even 1 employed companies. And I also think this is interesting, and it attracts the students. I had more than 150 applicants for the course. I could only take on 60. So it seems like the students are interested, and the theme of this course is also degrowth. And when I listened to the Schumpeter lecture yesterday, she was talking about everyday entrepreneurship. And I think this is typically everyday entrepreneurship, and it's not only focus on 100% on growth, firm and innovation and so on. It's focusing on what we can do to employ ourselves and what we can, the everyday entrepreneurship. And I think that's something that is interesting and attractive. And it's also good as a role model, because it shows that you don't have to be this super epic entrepreneur that is on Nasdaq and so on. You can be the ordinary you, and you can do a lot. You can employ yourself and have a good life. And that's good enough. If you then can employ another one, you are a hero. So I think we need these many pictures of entrepreneurship and need to show them also to people. And also the SMEs that the students work with, they act as role models. And through this, they learn to know students, because we ask them, why are you engaging? Yeah, we want your students' brain, but we also want to have a look at them and maybe convince them to come and work for us. Because for small firms, it's very tough to attract those engineers because they go for the big firms. And they never heard even about the small SME firms. But through courses, when they can meet, they can realize, oh, maybe this is something for me. Could be nice to work with these guys. They are nice. So, yeah, that's maybe some examples. Do you want more?
Let's leave that to the audience to see. Very nice. And we already discussed a lot about the changes that we're making to the traditional way of how a university functions, how it engages. Tom, you gave some examples on how you're getting rid of exams and you're getting practical examples. But what kind of actions do we actually need to take to implement the way forward that you see for universities? What is required from the policy side at the local level in Dublin or the national level or even the European level to get us towards a university system that can engage with SMEs and gets us ready for industrial transformations?
Yeah, good question. Look, we all kind of identify the game, and we play by the rules of the game, or close enough to the rules of the game. And for universities, the game is rankings, right? So the rankings and funding from government. And if you want to change university behaviour, I think you've got to start by changing the model of funding so that collaboration with industry, collaboration with communities gets rewarded, right? And if it gets rewarded, so what gets measured gets changed, right? And I think if there was funding associated with that activity, or more funding associated with that activity, then I think we would see a change of behaviour. If you then extend that and say, okay, the university is going to get more money if there's greater levels of community engagement or SME engagement or whatever, industry engagement, then what's the next step, right? Well, the next step is the academic who engages with industry or with the community is going to get recognised for their work, because that's what's pushing the... Okay, so now their reward system changes, right? And that makes it more attractive. So as I keep coming back, like it's a game, right? And you recognize the rules of the game, and you kind of go, okay, to progress, this is what I need to do. Now, if the rules change and the criteria says you need to have industry collaboration to get professorship or to get whatever, right? Then what does that do when you change your behavior, right? So those are certainly two actions that I think need to be taken. A third one is that I certainly believe that we need to look at, come back to the co-creation, co-curricular design. So for one of my entrepreneurship programs, I brought in an entrepreneur who became what I called the course mentor, but I said to him, this is what I'm teaching. Okay, what do you reckon? And he's kind of looking and going, really? Okay. We've got a bit of work to do here, Tom, don't we? Right? But what happens, right? We work together, we develop a new program, okay? He gets in his company where they bring in younger members of staff to be mentors to the groups, okay? We're using the business model canvas around development of a business idea, right? So we go from ideation, and at the very end, we have a pitch to dragons, right? And they have to do a proper pitch, okay? So we move from ideation to the pitch, but we've got an entrepreneur who's the course mentor to me and others, right? And we've got his younger staff mentoring the students in terms of development of their business idea. And now we're all interacting, right? We're all now talking a common language, right? And the students are kind of, see, every student thinks they got a brilliant idea, right? And then they're talking to their mentor, and the mentor's going, really? You think that's going to work? Okay. Now, if I said that, they'd be kind of going, oh, Tom's just being too critical, right? And he's just, he's a tough grader, right? But when it's someone from industry that's saying it, then the reaction is different. And they're kind of going, oh, okay, so you don't think it's going to work, no? Okay, so I think that kind of co-curricular design, co-curricular interaction, that's more than just getting in a guest speaker, right? A guest speaker is nice, right? But if we really want to push it, I think we've got to go down that road. And then the last thing I think we need to do is coming back to the lifelong learning. We really got to engage much more with micro-credentials. The 4-year course, do we have to go that way forever? Right? Can we rethink that? I'm not saying throw the baby over the bathwater, right? But I do think we need to reimagine, and I think like young people, that whole idea of micro-credentials is appealing. I think the notion of lifelong learning, okay, and micro-credentials is appealing. And how do you build those micro-credentials? What does it build to, right? And, the other thing I would say is that SMEs keep talking about having a work-ready graduate. Like, who's ever work-ready? Seriously, walking out of university, right? Like that's living in dreamland, right? But what we can have is adaptable, capable young people whereby they're open to continuous learning, because that's the reality of the SME. The SME can't stay still. The SME requires people who are open to continuous learning. We've got a marvellous program in Ireland called SkillNet. I see Adam here, he runs a super program. And it's about people in the workforce learning on the job. And it's hugely successful. And universities work with companies. Now, it's driven by the companies, right? But, it's on the job. It's the lifelong learning on the job. And I think that's our future, rather than getting caught up in the ivory tower, the expertise, and we know it all.
Thank you very much. I think that reflects a lot what we already heard from Petra. A lot of these elements are also resonating. And if someone got inspired, Petra, what kind of advice do you give someone who would like to take your model and take it to your country? What is it that policymakers can do to support them in setting up initiatives to help girls and women into tech careers?
I hope that somebody can get an inspiration, and if you do so, just please do it, because the girls and women are already ready to jump into the tech skills and tech professions, but they just need some support and education and some opportunities we create for all of them. And also, I'm here so I can share what we have done, and I can share also the mistakes we did, because during 13 years you can be sure that we did some activities not worth to follow, but we create a lot which are really worth to follow, and we can see that there is an impact and there is a nice results. What we would need from policymakers is, yes, just to have the trust, because without the trust from policymakers, you can do whatever you want and you will never be powerful. So this is the first point, that if you are a policy person, please turn to an organization working with girls and women in IT fields and ask what they need and try to help them. Because every time you will arrive to the funding, because without the money, it's very hard to work. And I'm very helpful, for example, for Erasmus Plus grants. This is amazing tool, because for the small organization, it's very hard to reach for the big grants and big fundings, because it's too high for us. Yeah, we are not able to go for it. But the small scale grants are perfect even for starting the cooperation and activities together. So if you think about something, just try to find a partners. I'm ready to help also. Just do not hesitate and wait until something will happen, because we do not have time. I think everyone knows here that we do not have time to wait until something will happen in the universe. We need to create this change right now. It's very sad, but yeah, I think it's like this.
I think it's a common theme of the whole event. If we don't start now, in 5 years, it's going to be too late. So you heard it here before. You heard it here first. Any questions from the audience? You've been very patient. We start in the back and then move forward.
Hi, thank you. My name is Michał Misztal. I run an NGO called Startup Academy, and we are just in front of introducing probably the biggest change in the higher education system in Poland, because we're gonna test the pilot program for students who will run their own projects, not only the business one, but also artistic or social projects that will be connected with their studies. We will hire more than 300 mentors, both from university and from the labor market, from industry, to teach them how to run their own projects, businesses, or social activities. They will be given also small scholarship to drive through 3 semester of activities. And as I listen to what you say about micro-credentials that are also implemented in the project, we believe that this can be a real change in the higher education system. But also, we've got a lot of doubts and fears because this is the pilot. 12 universities from Poland has been selected for participating in the program. And what we fear is that we will not be able to transform in one program, one project, the mentality of academia teachers, that in this model of personalized education, once student decide which project he would like to deliver at the end of the 3-semester project, the student is in the middle. He is the owner of his own academic education. And in this approach, professors, PhDs will have to adapt to his expectations and his needs. We are a little bit afraid.
A question ends with a question mark.
The question is, we are afraid that we'll not be able to persuade professors to put student in the middle. Maybe you have a good advices for us how we can try to change their mentality from people in charge to mentors who follow the needs of the student. This is the question.
Charlotte, what made you a good mentor?
Yeah, I think introduce your teachers to the pedagogy of challenge-based learning, because there they have the tools that they need. And of course, you have to tell them that it could be a little bit scary, but dare to try and start immediately and reflect over your mistakes and redo and do it better. So try. And yeah.
Tom, how can we make micro-credentials something that's more accepted? You flagged the point. What's missing?
Yeah. First of all, I agree with your concerns, right, about getting academics to buy into what you're doing in year 1. Because there's got to be a for me in it, right? What's in it for me? So you've got to make it easy for them. And my advice from experience would be that if you can get a key person in the university of some sort of stature to buy into it, you'll get everybody else. And I would also attract the younger professionals, the younger academics, because they're looking for something new. The older ones are fixed in their positions in what they're about to do. But it's a challenge, but it's exciting what you're doing, right? It's exciting what you're doing, and year 1's going to be really tough. But if you can get one person, one champion in a university, and a group of younger academics around that person, I think you've got a great chance. And I wish you well. In terms of micro-credentials, it's got to be built into the national framework in some way. The programs we run for the disadvantaged have got ECTS credits, and it's built, and they're built into the national framework. And in that way, people can accumulate, ECTS credits and accumulate, build their qualifications. Yeah, but to me, it's got to be built in some way like that.
Very good. We had another question? Just in front of the colleague. We take it from the back and we go forward.
Thank you. I have a question and maybe a comment. First of all, about the mentorship or the co-lecturing that you were mentioning together with business people. I would be curious to understand a bit more how you've done it, because I have seen some practices in other places where somehow universities expect experienced business people to come and put time, often either for free or for completely, nothing. So it becomes a pro bono project. It can go for a while and you can put a bit of that time, but it cannot be scaled. And it becomes, one-off. I don't understand how it is expected that, companies should allow workers to do the training in those 8 hours. But then when it comes to SMEs or experts and so on, it's like they are expected to put in from that time when it's an opportunity cost. We also need to provide for our business, for our employees and so on. So I'm wondering how it is done in your university and how this could be addressed to really be able to be scaled up.
Good. Let's start with Tom. How do you think this worked for you?
Yeah, my advice here on this one is go with alumni, former students, people who understand you, what you're trying to do, people who've been successful. As I said earlier, like so Geraldine comes back, is great to support me. And I got another student who keeps coming back. His business went to NASDAQ. But the mentor that worked with me, former student, started a business, got his people involved, and he sees benefit to his young people. Now, he doesn't do middle management because, even though I would appreciate middle management, he feels that the younger people in staff get the benefit from being part of the process, right? And he just sees it as good for the people, as staff development in a different type of learning, in a different type of way. And then more recently, we've started talking about kind of doing promotional activity to give him some PR back as well. But yeah, in anything that I've done of that nature, it's been with alumni, and nobody's got paid anything. All right, and in that way, and look, we normally go for like 3 to 5 years, and then they'll either sign up again or they won't, and you just move on to the next person. But at that stage, it's a whole lot easier to sell because you got a proven model. With the marginalized communities, it's quite different because there we deliberately go to agencies, organizations that work with those communities. And like, I won't stand in front of a group of people with disability and say, I understand your lived experience, when clearly I don't. So we go to the communities, we go talk with them, and we get people with that lived experience, we co-create. And I find once people understand the social benefit that you're trying to achieve, getting buy-in is actually
easier.
Is easier, yeah. No, where it's much more difficult is with funding, right? So with persons with disability, I can get funding, no problem, right? With marginalised youth, it's relatively easy. With refugees, asylum seekers, relatively easy. Try getting money for a programme for prisoners, right? Good luck with that one, right? And the Roma community would be another one where you'd struggle, where people don't want to have their brand name associated with becomes a real challenge. But you find it other ways.
Petra, how about you? When you do your mentoring within your programs, how does it work?
I understand your concern about the mentorship and not being paid, and also about the time the company should dedicate for the learning new skills. And I understand that you would like the 8 hours to be worked by the people, but on the other side, imagine that you have somebody working 8-9 hours per day per week, and arriving at home and spending another 3-4 hours by learning new skills. I'm a little bit afraid that they will burn out after a certain period. So it doesn't mean that you should spend half time of your working time for the learning new skills, but you need to adjust the timing for learning because it's you, your organization, who need these new skills. So it's a question of balance. And regarding the mentorship and how we are working with companies, yeah, definitely. Sometimes it might be tricky that you are asking to bring the knowledge, the expert knowledge, and not be paid. But as Tom mentioned, it's every time the limited time when you can use this expertise. And on the other side, I think that this is important to understand that it's not that just that the expert is giving to somebody, but he is receiving vice versa. Because in these mentorship relations, you can really benefit from, you learn from this younger generation, and it should be the beneficial for both. But it's as well the question how you will set up, and it's not normal to ask everyone to do it for free and pro bono. It should be the balance situation and win-win for both parts.
A short one also. I suggest you go for firms that benefit from this. So like we haven't had any problems in attracting SMEs into these ingenious courses because they have challenges that they want to have new opinions on. And they also are interested in the students. So for them, it's they invest in their own learning and they learn along with the students. And I think that's what you call collaboration, cooperation in the real way. So I don't have guest lectures for free either. They come because they are interested in what we are doing. And it gives value to them. And you must create value to them. Otherwise, they will not come.
Thank you.
Very good. We move forward.
Thank you. It's Lena Whittaker from Eurocommerce. So we represent retail and wholesale. I think yesterday it was said that everyday entrepreneurs, they need somebody who's relatable to also help them. And actually, one way I think is something that happens in terms of apprenticeships, actually getting that hands-on experience there. So how do we encourage this also with getting experience inside of SMEs, whereas we have a legislative agenda that sometimes make this a little bit difficult with calls for equal pay, equal conditions for apprentices. So how do we strike that right balance so that we can open up people's eyes in a sector like retail and wholesale that may be a stepping stone for something else in the future?
How do we do it?
That's a good question.
I'm not sure.
Well, I think internships are an important part of any program. In one of our programs, we've got in year 3, they go out they finish in March and then they work for the next 6 months. And honestly, you wouldn't believe the different people that come back in September. Like you can really, really see a different maturity, a different self-confidence, I would argue as well, and the realization of how business really works. It depends on the nature of their internship, because going into a large company, this is where small companies are far better, right? And I'd love to see much more of a relationship between ourselves and the likes of ISME, and that where they go into small firms because there's way more learning in a small firm. In a large firm, they're doing photocopying or whatever, right? And the other thing that's changed in more recent times is that we didn't allow, up to recent times, a young person to work on their own business idea. That wasn't considered an internship, whereas now that's changed. And now they can go off and work on their own business idea. But I would so support internships, and I would have it on every program if it was possible, because the young people are just different people when they come back. Absolutely.
I agree. We have also a lot of all the master theses are internships.
Yeah.
Sometimes even candidate thesis. So that's a good way.
I'm afraid we're out of time. I've been signaled, but please do come back to us with your questions. The panelists will be here for another
we will be here.
5 to half an hour.
We've got to go to the next session.
Thank you, everyone. Please be reminded that downstairs we also have the idea launch, so you can contribute your own ideas and help us gather all the insights that you have. And please do come forward if you didn't manage to get your question across. I'm sorry for managing the time badly. And thank you all for being here, being active participants. And please give a big hand to the panel who did an excellent job here.